All right, welcome to 6G Agenda. Hopefully, you guys are feeling good today. We got a special guest we're going to be bringing in, William Ramsey. He's a investigator I did mention in the last show. If you didn't hear the last show, that's okay. We're going to do a little recap of the Order of the Nine Angles in this one. Definitely probably a deep dive. This guy's got a lot of great information, a lot of deep research. He's got some books like Prophet of Evil, Global Death Cult, and Children of the Beast. Two out of three are by Aleister Crowley. Pretty cool stuff. So if you're into all that, definitely check his stuff out. He's a tinfoil hat OG. That's where I first discovered him. But outside of that, without further ado, let's welcome in William Ramsey. All right. We got a nice special guest, William Ramsey. I'm a big fan of his work. He's got a couple awesome books, Prophet of Evil, about Aleister Crowley, as well as Children of the Beast. And more related to what we're going to probably be talking about, follow up to our last episode, Global Death Cult, about Order of the Nine Angles and more. Welcome on.
Nice to be with you. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for the invite.
Of course. Yeah. Tinfoil Hat OG. I've seen you on there plenty of times. And and also Isaac Weishaupt. I saw you did one recently with him. That was awesome. Big fan.
Yeah. Those I've been on that show a few times, so it's cool.
Yeah, I love it. So yeah, recently we went over Order of the Nine Angles. I heard you and Igor had some cool kind of theories that you got into about maybe related to the smiley face killers and everything else. If what do you think? I wanted to see what you maybe.
Well, that's kind of what led me into the interest of the O9A. Like, it was through the smiley face killing phenomenon. So I was trying to figure out, like, why would somebody be doing this or going out at night stalking people? What's the ideology? So it led me to the Order of Nine Angles, which I didn't know that much about. I've become kind of an expert on them, but it was really Igor who kind of turned me on to them, and then something clicked, like, hey, this could be much bigger. Then I saw a lot of their doctrines in the common culture, and so I knew it wasn't some kind of like fantasy story. It wasn't some kind of illusory kind of story. There really is something going on with this group.
Yeah,
And that they're
definitely.
in the news. Yeah, they're in the news, so it's pretty
Yeah,
wild.
I've been seen that a little bit more. Do you think maybe they have something to do with a lot of the nihilistic culture we see in front of us today, with a lot of the memetry?
Absolutely. There's no
Mhm.
question the accelerationism, this kind of dark MAGA idea, this Nikita Kasap who killed his parents and was trying to kill the president of the United States, Donald Trump. He was actually kind of thought he was working with somebody affiliated with the O9A, and he mentioned this kind of Order of Nine Angle ideas in his kind of and what was released by the government really is something that is contemporary.
Mm.
It's not just something online. There's like a strange subcultures, and online has created a lot of strange subcultures. And O9A and this kind of far right, what's called far right accelerationism, is one of them.
Yeah, I agree. So I heard you say dark MAGA. Do you draw a line with kind of the third party Elon's talking about? Maybe this neo-Nazi kind of buildup that we kind of see in front of us with current events.
There seems to be something there. There seems to be an overlap between some of the ideology, the kind of higher level philosophical thinking of the O9A, and this kind of dark MAGA movement. Nick Land and these kind of ideas have overlap. Nick Land arguably has affiliation with the O9A. Whether that's true or not, I've never been able to confirm that. He definitely knows a lot about the occult. So there are strange things, like Elon Musk's wife, or one of his girl, I don't know, baby mamas, whatever. Her name is Grimes. She works with band. She does a lot of very could be termed techno occult stuff. And she works with a band called Bring Me the Horizon, who's friends with some of these other characters, Ed Sheeran,
Oh
and
yeah.
they know the Order of Nine Angles ideology. There's no question about it. So it's not, these are like real people who've expressed in their work and their art these kind of concepts. So this is so I think that probably I would assume that Musk, who I wouldn't say that he's really a Christian, Musk and some of
Yeah.
his contemporaries, or even maybe even Teal, have some of these ideas. I've done research into some of these technate type people, and they don't have a Christian ideology. Their kind of utopia is like a techno utopia where they're going to perfect the man through technology, which really should scare people.
It definitely does. We've done a little bit of a deep dive with Curtis Yarvin, some of the cybernetics
Yeah,
and Nick
Yarvin.
Land stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely it's clear that they're trying to, I think we are walking into kind of the beast system, as people call it. 6G agenda. That's why it's called that, just for that idea of we're entering that Samson White papers. Have you heard of the Samson White papers?
No, what are those?
So that is general. Basically, it's one of the Samson White papers because they've made a few, but this one talks about a hologramic reality that they're trying to create with 6G, Internet of Things, kind of Nick Land and cybernetics. When you look at cybernetics, that is the idea of just technology and biology symbiotically coming together. That's kind of what we're touching on is this ideology and that technology together is going to be that system, in my opinion, from what I've researched. And so, yeah, it's funny how it shows its head and rears its head in so many different ways.
Wow, no, I didn't know. I know about Yarvin, but yeah, it's odd to think that it could go back, like some of these ideas that have put together under the O9A have bled over into these guys. They do have this kind of space opera view. Like if you look at Musk, his utopia is all of us seeding the stars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man moving to the stars, but that's exactly what the O9A believes.
Oh yeah.
So it's not just them, it's him and these overlaps. So
Do you get into
um
the idea that ufology and a lot of that, like the disclosure, is the phenomenon, in your opinion, something more of a conscious level? Because in that way, it would make sense why they would be into the spacism.
yeah, I mean it overlaps the UFOs and these occult kind of orders and the UFO kind of mythology. It overlaps with the modern occultism. A lot of those guys are high level occultists using really dark magic, like the
Mm-hmm.
darkest of dark magic. Like it's not a joke. This guy
Definitely.
communion and these things are presented as UFOs, but it's even darker. I mean, I've done shows with other guys like Charles Upton, whose basic premise is that this whole UFO phenomenon is just a repackaging of other demon possession and demon sighting events because they
It's
overlap,
yeah.
and I think he's right.
I think he is too.
And
Whenever you get in
why
not, you go
then,
ahead,
which
please.
kind of elicits the question: why are then who's promoting? Is it the government? Are there actors? And then when I see these people, I know them very well. People like Peter Levenda
Mm.
et al. And Greer and these guys, and some of these other more recent dudes on Ryan show, Sean Ryan, who's popped up out of nowhere. His name was Bledsoe. Like the occultism will just literally be system occultism. You want to talk about 6G occultism? It's really like a master class in occultism because it's not the simple stuff that you would figure out reading, the Satanic Bible. It's about burning trees, which is a really heavy cult symbol. The lady, which is what this kind of represents. The people think of Lucifer as this kind of mean looking Baphomet, but really the Luciferians believe that this is a hermaphrodite, that it is a pandrogyne or an androgyne, positive androgyny. So when they say the lady, they're speaking like at a very high level of occultism, and that's what Bledsoe's doing. So when you see that in the occult and secret machines, use of K's, so like it's almost like I was primed to like decode ufology through my knowledge and understanding because it was easy to decode it that way because the symbols are there. They're confusing people, and it's the movement of like how purveyors and people with the secret knowledge will they enjoy duping the profane. people who are uninitiated. So they can say things where the person will be mystified, but the initiates who've gone through masonry and beyond will be just like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's exactly right. And that's why, I listen, my journey kind of started, uh, journey is in when I started deep diving myself was with, Bill Cooper. Yeah, my journey kind of started with Bill Cooper, and he ran through deep with the secret teachings from Manly P. Hall and all that, and that kind of got me into what they believe in to kind of figure, Gnosticism, all the rest, and then I kind of started to realize that the Jewish Kabbalah, all that kind of ties in together, but it can be inverted to where kind of like what we're talking about with the ONA. It seems like they take the idea of say and would invert it in the darkest way, right? So attaining enlightenment, but it's like a dark enlightenment, which dark maga kind of, reminisces me of that kind of same concept. Um,
No, you're right. So it has this philosophy, it's high level thinking. They're very intelligent, almost like high level Nazism or something, esoteric Nazism. And I think O9A can be seen as esoteric Nazism, of
oh
course.
yeah,
There's no
definitely.
question about it. So you see these kind of overlaps with this philosophy and that whole thing, like the high level Nazis, the Aryan, the seven root races. This is all Blavatsky. It's all
Oh yeah.
Luciferianism.
And whenever you said, where is this coming from? Why do they, I look at this, whenever you said that, the first thing I thought of was the Theosophical Society, and how whenever they said it's time for us to bring these people know about this stuff.
The
And now we
golden
see it.
age. The
Mm-hmm.
Trump is saying the golden age. It's
That's
no
right.
mistake. The guy is totally occulted, man. I
Oh
can
yeah.
pull up his stuff about like the Tesseract, and he's really pulled one over on the Christians.
Well, let's
And
do the test track. We've talked about the MAGA and the idea of the initiation and Satanism, and MAGA or Magus would be the highest highest role for somebody who's put in a lot of work for Satanism. And it's funny that it's the complete inversion you would see if somebody that was for say like the Antichrist or Lucifer, they would do that to the Christian base where they would put that right in front of their face and then get them to follow it.
absolutely. I mean, I think that he's you can see that I don't know if I can share here. Let me show you this. Let me see if this pops up. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, this is Trump with the Tesseract. Look at his front door.
Oh yeah.
Square within a square. It's
Yep.
right there. Golden. This is heavy duty Luciferianism. This is
Man.
not like, this is like the heavy stuff that I'm talking about is the idea that his followers and everything are in a control box, two-dimensional control grid. And this is just a dumb commercial. It's actually like stacking boxes on top of boxes is also Masonic. So you'll see squares on top of squares and certain corporate logos and things like that. But watch this.
Yeah, they're
This
the
is incredible.
builders.
Yeah. Is the audio coming through?
It isn't.
Okay. Yeah, so that's I mean, this is just one example.
Five
There's
five
a
five. That's so funny. The 555. That's the exact. I was trying to figure out what fives the occult five was. Whenever he got his presidency, I was seeing a lot of, and I
yeah,
know that there's a lot of numerological stuff that they do. Do you know anything about like fives or triple fives or
not
anything like that?
offhand. No, nothing comes to mind. But
Because I
here's
know it's
another
seven
picture.
and go
Yeah.
ahead.
Here's another one of him with the Tesseract.
Mm,
Golden boy, golden man, whatever. But
that's wild.
yeah, 777 symbolizes the lightning bolt going down the center of the Kabbalah. So it goes from like the Sephiroth to Sephiroth. So when you see the 777, that's really kind of it's supposed to show the kind of like mana or prana energy.
I see.
That's part of it. So, but the
Yeah.
555, I don't know. Nothing comes to mind. I'd have to go back and look through all my Crowley stuff.
I had never seen anything either, and I was just wondering. I just wondered. Do you think that I had this written down because I wanted to ask you? Do you think any of the like missing people, and this one's kind of far out there, but I was wondering with national parks and missing people and everything, do you think that has anything to do with the smiley face phenomenon? I know people aren't
Some
found,
some
but
of them might be. I mean, there's all kinds of stories of body parts coming down rivers in national parks. So I think people are disappeared. I think that there's dudes who go back in those woods and do unspeakable things. So I
Mm.
think that that's real. I don't know if they're all smiley face or what's going on, but there's something very dark about the phenomenon. There's absolutely no question about it.
Well,
Um,
after I got done researching this, there's a show Netflix apparently. They just put everything as number one that just came out, but essentially it's kind of a guy that works at a national park.
oh right, he
And I
works at
thought of
Yosemite, right?
Yeah, and I thought of the insight roles and how because I'm looking at the way these people are dying and coming down the river, and it really was just because I had just researched this, kind of reminded me of it. And then that I was wanting to ask you about it just because I didn't know if you had deeper insight on that aspect.
I don't know. I haven't watched the show. Is there literally stories about bodies coming down the river?
100%. Yep.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that. So
Yeah, yeah.
I worked at Yosemite. There were stories about bodies coming down the river in the 80s and 90s, man. So
Really.
it's not a joke. Yeah.
Yeah, at the beginning, the first episode, lady comes flying off of a cliff while these guys are rock climbing up it. She gets wrapped around the rope that they got to each other, and then this guy that he
I
asked him
didn't
to go
know
get
that.
info. Yeah, he asked him to go get information. This other guy, by the end of that episode, he came floating down this river, dead in the water. So there's a little bit of that going on. It's
I'll
just,
have to watch that. Yeah.
yeah, I would.
It's referenced in a lot of shows and a lot it's more common than you might think that these like tales of people dying in rivers and stuff like that are through media. I think From Hell starts like that with the death
Mm.
in the water.
Yeah, I haven't seen that
And
one.
yeah, so there are little references and hints. Actually, if you watch a really hardcore Luciferian movie called Chinatown, which won Best Picture in '74, it's literally it's literally about a guy who dies in water and is moved from one water zone to the next. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
very
So
telling.
from clean water to salt water.
Really.
Yeah.
So as we were doing this series, we researched a little bit of the finders, and they found device. I don't know if you're familiar
Very. I
with
know
them.
I've done
Oh yeah.
like one of the
Okay.
foremost or two, Derek Bros and John Brisson are probably the two people I know who are experts in the finders. So I've
Really.
talked to them. Oh yeah.
So
I
you're
can
you're
set you up
well,
with
yeah,
John
you're well read.
Brisson. Yeah.
That'd be
I'll set
awesome.
you up with John. Yeah,
Thank you.
he's great. He knows all that stuff. But so I've through them I've become very well acquainted with the finders. Yeah.
Do you think that there's any relation, like whenever they kind of took this doctrine and made it into internet and computer and kind of new aged it? Do you think there's any relation with that transition with the two? I know I'm only I'll lead into why I'm asking this after I get your answer, but I was just
Transition from what to what? The finders to
so
what?
the 09A started in like the 70s, right? But
70s, 80s, yeah.
eventually, yeah, and eventually that they kind of embrace technology, and that's kind of whenever it's taken the role it has today, where you see it so prevalent. And the finders situation, I know that that was more about kind of the procuring and selling, of children or images, things like that. And I just wonder how much of it was also to spread a doctrine, maybe related to this,
Oh, it
along
was.
with those images.
It's a secret society that involved pedophilia. So a lot of these societies do. If you look at the O9A, there's all kinds of child abuse material, like modern child abuse going on, and the
Yeah.
764 offshoot. But the finders, they got busted the famous Tallahassee bust in 1987 or whatever. They had the highest technology at that time. They're
Right.
clearly sending theft, telexes, and all kinds of stuff right at the very beginning of the pre-internet era.
Oh
But
yeah.
I think they're just an example of a cult. If you look at the membership, it's incredible. They had a lot of very famous people, much like the Epstein network.
Mm.
These other ones. I did a show with Austin Picard, and we were talking about the killings that took place in Atlanta. And one of the things he realized, and I realized maybe even during that show, these places, all these things where we talk about these pedophile events, they were overlapping and connecting. There were connecting figures like Gacy in Chicago, and then this island in Detroit, and then Nebraska, Omaha, and Houston, and San Francisco,
Wow.
and Atlanta. And that's what the finders were too. They were moving around. They were international. It was really crazy.
That makes
And
sense.
the game caller Toby Terrell, no, what was the name? I forgot the league guy. they were just another example of a pedophile cult. Really, they really were a secret society. And they had famous members. They had a lot of very kind of new agey, sophisticated people that were associated with them. And the Satanism and the pedophilia were just part of like more of the secret society mechanics, almost like Scientology.
Oh
They
yeah.
weren't Scientologists, but
Right.
Scientology had a lot of really dark secrets and stuff. And I don't know if they were really overtly as pedophilic as the Finders, but these people are overlapping, in my opinion, and they're in different cults.
Yeah.
And if they're like Crowley, they are in multiple secret societies.
Right. Yeah. The way he infiltrates
Yeah, yeah.
multiple. And also that's kind of what leads me into I know that you talked about Kino and his conversation, his letter that he had back and forth with one of the people in the O9A.
Yeah, it was the lead. It was the most likely the lead guy who was what's his name? The kind of main writer. They
Right.
wrote under Stephen Brown, but it was what's his name? I'm forgetting it now.
Yeah. I had it written down as well. Stephen Brown was what I had written
Yeah,
down though.
Stephen Brown was the lead guy. It was my David Myatt.
Got it. Yep.
Sorry, I'm coming off a cold, so I apologize.
Oh, no worries. No worries. And I know that Igor mentioned that they had that daycare tunnel inside of the FBI papers. And then that's what kind of got me thinking with the finders about how they had that in the FBI papers rather. And actually, I don't remember if it was Igor that had mentioned that. Maybe I found that particular part. But then I was thinking about that connection with Aquino and the O9A and the fact that the finders had that tunnel and the map of the tunnel under that daycare and how that all kind of connects like Aquino,
McMartin, McMartin,
yes,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes. And it connects
Yeah.
Aquino with the finders as well as O9A already. That's been established. So it's just a weird circle. And that's what made me want
Right.
to ask you.
No, it's a really good question. And I think that's what researchers, myself and others included, are finding out is
Right.
that these kind of little segments that we kind of may look at as one little piece of the puzzle are connected to a
Oh,
larger
definitely.
puzzle. And it is interesting. Like we mentioned in my most recent conversation on William Ramsey Investigates, we were talking about it, just kind of like brainstorming and shooting stuff. And we realized that Kino's connected to the Presidio pedophilia scandal and the Franklin scandal, right? So these two
Mm,
scandals are happening separately, but the same guy's involved. And then he's involved in other stuff. He's writing to Myatt. Like that whole chapter is really fascinating. And I think it goes into your larger inquiry is that how much do these other guys know what's going on in their own underground? And it
yep.
shows these guys know a lot. Myatt and Aquino and the Temple of Set, they know, and they're sending secret codes like you guys do these killings anyway. And Myatt saying we're open about it, you guys do it in secret. So
Right.
they know they got it. They have a gist of what's going on in that underground. They're communicating. And I think that's the same today. I think it goes all the way up into my most recent research of the West Memphis Three, Damien Eccles, who was friends with these guys who were hardcore long-term occultists like Genesis P. Orridge, who died. And he's kind of like almost there's a note of his influence into the transgender movement that we have today. There's no
Mm.
question about that. And the occult aspect of the transgender
Yeah,
movement.
it's just a literalization of the idea of androgyny with the
Right.
the
The lady,
male and
just what we
feminine.
talked about, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
That word pandrogyne, I think, goes for back to Crowley. Like he
Mm.
actually said it was a positive andro. Crowley's bisexual, so he's like a positive androgyne about Lucifer. He describes it's a very famous kind of like paragraph about Crowley where he admits that he talked to Awas with Satan, but he mentions him as a positive androgyne that was adopted and promoted by Genesis P. Orridge.
Hmm. Well, that's fascinating. Yeah. Yeah. What was I gonna? So I
And
was
all
kind
those
of.
guys, sorry to interrupt, but
Oh, you're fine.
all those guys, Eccles, Orridge, Peter Christopherson. I've done a lot of I've done it. I called it a dark dive. It's on my Patreon. They all went through a Crowley phase and Aquino. So these guys
Makes
all knew
sense.
Crowley. So he's an influential occultist himself, but as a kind of teacher and a learner, he just had a gigantic influence. He had, just this gigantic on a modern day occultists who are all over the place these days.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, even yeah, especially with I mean, wasn't that Sergeant Pepper album,
Oh
like,
yeah, could have
you
he could
know,
have been Sergeant Pepper, right? Because
and same thing with Tool,
Tool,
I
oh,
mean,
all over.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. And I used to love it. Anyways, I
Ed, go watch
yeah,
Ed Sheeran's Bad Habits.
we
It
did
is
on
the
the
O nine.
last one
Okay,
because you
okay,
mentioned it, and
okay, good.
I said, man, there's the balloons. I had no idea what I was walking into,
Let's see if I
but
can find that.
yeah,
Let
we
me pull it
found
up.
it. The balloons. Did we miss anything else?
No,
I'm
I mean,
sure there's a
I
few
have a
other
full
things.
article on it.
Yeah.
Um, let me see if I can pull it up. It's called Ed Sheeran and His Bad Habits. But like just taking this apart is worth like a whole show, like
Mm-hmm.
because there's so much in this. Like he has, I mean, this is 500 million things. This is incredible. He's a
Oh yeah, you gotta.
vampire. He's
Mm-hmm.
got fangs. He's got his own group. She has the smiley face earring here you see on the right. So you
Oh
see the
yeah,
smiley face attached to the O9A. He's looking over the mundanes. These are all zombies to him. They're
yeah.
special and they're drinking blood. So it's vampirism. Black cat.
He puts a hint of like enlightenment of him being like almost enlightened in a dark sense because he
Yeah.
pulls his dead body out of the trunk as well, like showing that he's like a new
Reborn. Good
reborn.
point.
Exactly.
He's going through this thing. Even the lyrics are very dark. The
Oh
smiley
yeah,
face
yeah. We were reading them,
balloons,
and then the kid,
initiation, the kid
the
becomes
chill. Yep,
one. Apparently, when you do rituals or you kill somebody, people throw up a lot because they know it's nauseous and it's like a purging thing.
it is a
So
bird.
somebody
Yep.
who would know that, like, they get sick. He occults the moon, so it's
Mm-hmm.
occultism there. He also imitates the Kali, and then at one point
Oh, I
he's
missed
upside
that.
down like a bat. There's one
Yeah,
sequence where he's on the roof somewhere. Let me see. Oh, there he is. This is like where he's on the roof. He's a bat. So like a noctilian. These are all high level. It's an incredible, just that one piece is that.
very much so.
These guys know a lot.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So I, as I was thinking about this and reading through this, um, we've mentioned how obviously Aquino and his ties with everything. Aleister Crowley tends to have a tie in everything when it comes to all these different cults, satanic groups, whatever. Do you think any of it has an intelligence kind of birthing aspect? Like maybe it was seeded by intelligence from the start. There's a part of me that kind of, as I look into it, because I know that, let's say, for example, people in the Middle East, terrorists, they were not radicalized by the Quran, suicide vest on and go kill themselves. This came from somewhere else. And this global death cult kind of doctrine that I've kind of read, kind of what they push, seems to be the same style. Like from what I've looked at, the same thing that they would push in the cults in the Middle East. And I wonder if it was like used before they made it into a just kind of an internet thing that just kind of grows on its own organically because they know it works. It's worked before. And so do you know what I'm trying to say there? He even Myatt had some jihadist kind of aspects to what he was into, so that kind of even reinforced my theory there.
I think that it's open questions, like how much of
Yeah,
Crowley's independent, how much of the O9A are
yeah,
these. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time an Intel group used occultism or a cult to promote its things. Or actually, I think that a lot of the New Age counterculture movement was promoted by Intel in the US. So even
yeah. We
Timothy
did a
Leary,
Laurel Canyon episode that kind of backs up what you're saying.
Timothy Leary himself, the Johnny Appleseed of LSD,
Mm-hmm.
credited a lot of the changes to the CIA. So there's like this hidden hand of Intel behind the dead and Leary and Crowley. Crowley's always been it was an Intel agent to the very end at 47.
Really,
And
we
probably, yeah. I mean, but in a different iteration. So it's
yeah,
not MI5, MI6. It was called the Secret Intelligence Service before it got kind of
that's yeah,
bureaucratized, I guess is the way to put it. But he was a perfect fit. Wealthy, a believer in the empire, super intelligent, tons of free time, no job, and can travel. So he's like, and no morals. So like
yeah,
he's fits a perfect fit. So occultism and intel are kind of like a double helix because some people wet work. If you're a Christian, actually a real Christian with morals, you can't just go out and randomly kill people or blackmail them or
right.
engage in all that stuff. But these occultists, it's like, hey, that's my bread and butter. So
Well, have you seen Project Often? That's kind of been getting
yeah,
blown up recently. that kind of backs that up where they're recruiting occultists and kind of using that and trying to see if they could use that and weaponize it. I do think that they do weaponize people psychologically with it
Oh,
100%.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And here at 6G Agenda, we have this theory that Israel might have may or not been created to create kind of like a group that you can't touch, the Zionist group. It's not Jews, obviously, but the Zionism and its growth throughout the whole world. In my opinion, I think that these intelligence agencies were created so that we could have a hand everywhere. And within Zionism, you'll find this kind of deep, and by that I mean just like the Rothschilds and the old cabal. It goes all the way back to Babylon with the worship of Nimrod and things like that. And that's kind of what I see just over and over whenever you talk about, Saturn's sun being Neptune. That's representative of like the storm god. And whenever you go back into the old iconography, whenever the worship of Nimrod kind of spread, that's all the different pantheons you see. And the main he kind of represented that storm god or the god Zeus, right? And so that's kind of this worship like that we see through the pantheons. And I see the same kind of whenever it's talking about the new eons of man and that we want to kind of assert our dominance over the change of man so that way the Judeo-Christian Western society falls. That's kind of what I mean, that's their main enemy would be Judeo-Christian Western society. And it just seems like it all kind of uncannily goes together in this push. Does that make sense? I think it expresses it. This little group expresses itself in many ways. You could look at Zionism, intelligence. You could look at these different cults, Freemasonry. Within it, you'll find these teachings real deep in there. It's the same kind of ideology.
If you look at most of the heads of the Zionist movement, even the ones around today, you'll find that they're members of B'nai B'rith, right?
Really,
They're
yeah,
not just pure like biblical
no,
Tanakh believing Jews. They are Talmudic, Masonic. I mean, even her Dershowitz is full on member of B'nai B'rith. It's called ADL of B'nai B'rith. Like some of these other organizations come out of Jewish masonry.
right.
So it's like a masonry that's separate from the WASP Masons or something like that, but they know each other. So there's all kinds of occultism. And if you read the Old Testament, it's really kind of the prophets of that time and the Molech worshippers and the baby killers. So
Right.
what's to say these people who aren't there now are any different than the people Jeremiah railed at? I mean,
Yeah, and
some of these
that's kind of what
people,
I'm asserting, and I
yeah.
think that they've done well
Why
at
are we surprised?
yeah,
Why are we even
yeah, it's
surprised? Like,
true.
I mean, even Putin has said the people who set up this war against Russia, which really is what the Ukraine situation is, where's the
Definitely.
people? Where are they going to synagogue? It's a good question because some of
Yeah.
these Jews, I mean, even the New Testament says there is a synagogue of Satan within Judaism. Like
Hmm.
this is a Christian belief. So why is
Yeah.
it changed? You can read the papers from Haaretz. This isn't Stormfront, like it's not far
They
right.
always do put it there. Yeah.
Bro, they just revealed that there's a hardcore cult, Satan worshiping group in Israel, and all these people came forward and confessed. Like there's blood drinking rituals and stuff. And I
Really.
can pull, yeah.
Yeah. Pull it up. Pull it up.
Let's
Definitely.
see.
Definitely pull it up.
This
Yeah, I
is
mean,
like,
every other day they're bombing a different country. I mean, today they're going, on the offensive again with Gaza. They just went after Syria for whatever reason, even though they just installed their Al Qaeda leader there. I don't understand what they were bombing them for. A
multiple
weird
women
one.
recount organized abuse, including ritual ceremonies
Mm.
conducted by people they knew, even close family members. After months of interviews with victims, their families, treatment professionals, experts in Israel and abroad, a disturbing picture emerges with descriptions difficult to read. Sodomy, this is the whole story. This
Yep.
is the rape, sodomy, pedophilia, black magic. This is
Do you,
inside Judaism, guys.
do you know the name of this particular sect of
I don't know where it is, but this is from somewhere in this is an Israeli. It's Noam Barkin. This is like a Jewish person,
I only asked because I couldn't recall anyway, but it starts with a T. That group in Guatemala that was caught
right?
doing. Yeah,
Hey man,
exactly.
some of these Jewish cliques are all into pedophilia, and there's a lot of dark stuff, even in Chabad or Chabad.
Hmm.
So it's just not, and I'm not giving Christians a pass because Jim Jones was into like supposedly a Christian, did all kinds of stuff. I've done a show on the Hosanna Church, which influenced True and
Jim
which I
Jones, yeah, I think that the whole Jim Jones thing was just MK Ultra extended into the into that cult.
well, that's
Whenever you look,
yeah. You look deeper into it. There's yeah,
yeah,
dark and you don't want to talk about Intel influencing some of these kind of churches. That's probably a really good example. My
yeah,
point is that this is an endemic thing, these kind of black magic in any society, even in kind of Middle Eastern societies, Christians, Jews. So to give them Jews a pass like they're not occultists is silly. So I've seen
right,
like Dershowitz making all, they're doing all the hand signs. I
yeah.
have the secret knowledge, all the stuff. He's
Well, and
heavily
they
involved
also
with
get that
Epstein.
awesome we're the chosen kind of argument as well, which kind of gives them that pass to do what they want and then just claim that. Which is, a wild thing. But yeah, the reason why I brought that up is because I do believe that whenever you look at the past 5 years or so, maybe more, but we'll narrow it down to the past five, and this now disclosure of how much Israel just runs America and runs this kind of, I believe that they only tell us things that they want a certain reaction to. And I think that they want this resurgence of kind of Nazi Germany, essentially. Uh, I feel like it would serve them well to disclose true, but the reaction to it, I think, is going to be disproportionate, which is manufactured to kind of bring about this kind of major war Armageddon scenario. Because, if you do believe in any biblical prophecy and they say that all countries will turn on Israel, and then you look at now and how we've had this buildup for the
Where
last
does it
100 years.
say that? Where's the specific quote of that where it's all going to turn on
I
Israel?
had yeah, hold on a second.
Like I want
I
specific
got you.
biblical
I
quotes
got you.
now. I want
I got you.
direct on everything. Why we should support Israel, why it's going to turn on, what
I don't think
exactly
we should. I
who
don't
there's
think we
about us.
should support them. But what I'm pointing out is
I'm
that,
just saying,
yeah,
like
I think that they are.
it says in the Bible, somebody should send me a $5,000 check, signed check. So, I mean, I
I
can
don't
just
think
make
that
that.
any. I don't think that they believe in the prophecy, not me. And what I'm pointing out is they believe in this prophecy. They are manufacturing this hatred for a people when at the top it's them, and it's not Jews. It's not all Jews that are out here just doing everything. It is a certain amount of them which disproportionately run things. And I'm more talking about the banking cabal of like the Rothschilds, Rockefellers. We're talking about that level elite. And then, of course, it just like with Nazi Germany, where they get what they want out of it, which is a country down. And, what I'm pointing out is I think that they're trying to build up this hatred again and lead us into kind of a new war on people, which
We're
I
already
mean, with how
there.
much
We're
Israel's
already
bombing
there.
everybody and
Yeah.
everything else, I think we are already there. I agree. And so I'm only pointing this out in a very rudimentary way, just because I want people to maybe be aware and not just fall into this whole, oh, all the Jews are running everything. We need to go kill them, get them out of our country, like every other country has maybe 120 times in the past. And not to say that there shouldn't be an adjustment, like APAC, things like that, the lobbying, all that. But I just think that maybe we should look at the actual BlackRock, the companies actually doing the things that are fulfilling the WEF's wishes, for lack of better terms.
I hear people argue that the whole Israel project was started by WEF people. It's not, there's some hand behind that. I mean, if
Yeah.
you wanted to create constant chaos and warfare, the best thing you could do is start a country in the Middle East that isn't Arabic and
And
isn't
yeah,
Islamic,
exactly.
and then
And
support it and just make them fight constantly. Because they've been, I mean, this upheaval is really part of a century old. That's the way that should be seen, even before the foundation of Israel in 48.
I
So
see what you mean. Yeah, it's kind of like they covertly took things over after World War II, and then now we're kind of starting to see it a little bit in a sense.
really started the push to patriate or repatriate or aliyah Jews back to the Holy Land? Balfour Declaration, right? Was that
Exactly.
1917? That's a Lord Balfour.
Hmm.
So it's probably done with the assent of the king. The king just didn't want to put his finger on it. A
Right.
lot of those lords are part of that whole system.
Oh
And the
yeah.
WF is King Charles III. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yep.
like you said, there's a hand that's a heavier and more intent hand. And
Yeah.
there's good geopolitical commentators who I think have pointed a lot of this stuff goes back to the king. And I mean, you have
Hmm.
to look at COVID to the king, the continuing war on Russia, the Russia program to collapse Russia, go back to the king in part, and Israel is in part of that policy. I think that it's. I mean, the Jews want a homeland too, but there's something there's another connection between them and the king. So
Yeah, it's the
there,
scapegoat. It's the scapegoat, is what it is. That's what it was created for, to be, in Israel, in my opinion. And I guess that's one pointing out is, yeah, there's a lot of, yeah, undue control that definitely needs to be unraveled. I just hope we do it in a way where there's not a resurgence of gulags and camps. You know what I mean?
it's gonna be World War II. You're gonna see what you're seeing in Gaza. They can just create their own pop-up camp where you're sitting. So you don't you
That's
won't be
true.
put into a camp. You will just
Hmm.
have the walls built up around you, and then you can get the full-fledged AI slaughterhouse with drones and drone shooters and snipers and all that stuff.
So what is your idea on a possible solution in that scenario? People talk about just kind of going off grid and everything. I feel like that's just kind of a passive way to. I mean, eventually the
Well,
geospatial institute will find you anywhere. So
we're going to go into almost full sentience AI in everything. So they can monitor where you are in your house through your Wi-Fi, do everything. So 24/7, full scale. If you're not already part of the 6G thing, if you take the shot, you may have like your own Mac number anyway, but which you should probably go get a
I'm
Mac
sure.
reader to see if you have one. But the solution is to de-state yourself, unstate. We don't really need any of these politicians or any of these people. They're not protecting us. They create conflict to make you rely on them and try to live your life the way God intended it, which is not to be on your phone all the time, grow your own
Hmm.
food, okay, with your family.
And
So I think
definitely.
that those kind of ideas of maybe you don't have to like go into the old bush, but you actually want to actually play along with their game. Actually, you want to just use and be so benign on your technology that they can't learn anything from you.
Mm,
So you actually just act like, oh, he's just doing his normal life, but then have your own separate off-grid life and your off-grid. Because then they'll make you, they'll make them suspicious if you're fully off-grid. So I would
right.
recommend a hybrid life.
Yeah.
But the other thing is like technology like this allows us to talk and make plans and do things like that. So I'm not like one of those people who thinks that we should just go totally off grid or something. But I mean, the
Right.
food's poisoned now, and they're lying about everything. The shots are
Yeah.
poisoned.
I think the off grid stuff is just a way to get people to not do it's kind of the system's answer to the people like us, just go off grid, you're fine. Just get away from the system. Don't
Well,
try to fix it
one of the
or change it.
benefits is you're not paying into it too. You're
Right.
not becoming a member of a cog in this evil machine.
Hmm.
So like you don't have to pay as much taxes if you're off grid, if you're growing your own food. You're not reliant. So I think that self-reliant principle that goes all the way back to like Walden Pond of all things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what's his name? Not Trudeau, it's Thoreau. And these ideas of man in the state that they have to come back in that kind of like libertarianism, I guess
Yeah.
is what you could call it.
Yeah. More of
So there's
a
solutions. You certainly don't want to be caught not thinking about the situation, especially when you consider what's happening today.
and that's the majority of what I see out there, I'm still in a normal job life. I don't know about you. But so I see a lot of, I guess, what you call normies or regular people, and man, you try to have a little bit of a conversation with somebody about something, and you could tell about a minute in, you're you're in deep
They,
waters.
yeah, they would listen to ESPN or something like that. Bill Cooper was really amazing before his time. I think that
Oh,
he pulled back from his UFO stuff, but like what he
oh, he
did with
did. Yeah,
his Mystery Babylon series was legit on the
it blew
UN
my
and
mind.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the
It's
Mystery
still good.
Babylon's here. I want
Still
to
good.
revamp. I want to revamp it. I do. I feel like nobody's done it. Nobody talks about it enough, and I would love to kind of revamp it. It definitely helped me see what's going on today from the lens of before. Could have, never
Yeah.
could imagine.
They killed him right after 9/11 too. Man, he had to go.
Hmm.
I
Speaking of
think
9/11,
yeah.
you led right into it. So your Aleister Crowley 9/11 book. Can you give us a little give us a little like rundown on what that's about, what your theories are on with that? Because I'm curious.
Well, I wouldn't say they're theories, but I definitely was a 9/11
Yeah.
researcher. I wasn't a public one. I was definitely doing a lot. Once I realized it was fake, maybe 2003, I went through and just watched every documentary that I could find, anything that was left up on YouTube, loose change. I read a lot. I listened to a lot of podcasts or things with like known scholars. Trying to think who comes to mind, but real intelligent guys. And it was during that time that I noticed this kind of numerological anomaly. Really, it has to be seen as an anomaly because there's so many 11s and there's so many of these numbers. And so I was like, okay, well, is there a connection? Why is this overlapping, number system? And these numbers have meaning. Like, why is this here a lot? And I knew that the famous George Bush speech about the New World Order was on September 11th, 1990. So 11 years to
Mm.
the date of the event
Oh,
of
wow.
2001. Yeah. So I was like, wow, well, that's a lot of 11s. I just started noticing things in common culture. I remember I was in like Nevada and I saw a guy with a 93 shirt. And I'm like, well, that was number one of those planes. Like, what are these numbers? And it led me back eventually to ceremonial magic, to the occult, and then really specifically to Aleister Crowley, because 93 really is an Aleister Crowley specific number.
Mm.
And really what it is this 11 is a huge number in magical systems and magical theory, and specifically to Crowley, I would say it's his master number. It's really
Really?
his number of the New World Order and magic, because it is the coming together of the macrocosm and microcosm, symbolized by the pentagram and the hexagram, coming into an 11. So that it comes together, and the magician is supposed to be this fusing of this whole event is in
Wow.
the individual and ceremonial magic. So once I realized that, I had to really find out who was Aleister Crowley, not what people told me, not what Ozzy Osbourne's song told me. It led me to read most of his biographies. I remember Sutins and some of these other guys, people who knew Crowley. And so I really got back into his kind of core materials. And I realized this is all black magic, this whole 9/11 event. There's a component of black magic, and it's been ritualized, much like Sarah be ritualized. And Crowley was a ceremonial magician, in addition to kind of a encyclopedic, knowledgeable occultist. But he really came through. You have to think, you have to say that Masonry involves ceremonial magic, and also the Golden Dawn, which was a turn of the century post-Masonic order. So that means people wouldn't get into there unless they had gone through the Masonic lodge, and they were heavily involved in ceremonial magic. Their documents and their ceremonial magic is
That's
here
all they
today.
do.
Yeah, you can see Crowley with all the implements of ceremonial magic: the oar, the sword, all kinds of stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
the proper clothing. So this ceremonial magic and all these things, all these numerology, really is Crowley's numerology. 93 for him is a Kabbalic. It's called the gematria, which is a part of the Kabbalah where words have numerical value.
Yep.
And two of his famous words are agape and thelema, which is the name of his religion. He found in the gematria that they added up to 93. So that's why he has this kind of 93 number. 11, it's in one of his most famous books, or what he thought was the most important book of his writings, which were voluminous, was the Book of the Law, which he received from an entity. He says an entity
Yeah,
in
Lamb.
name was Iwas in 1904. The
Oh, yeah,
Lamb,
more than one entity.
oh yeah,
I
multiple.
didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He had Lamb, Iwas, the Wizard, Corazon, the whole suite. These are just ones that he
Really?
had. But his most important was this guy Iwas, or the Lord of the Air, which, if you read your Bible, you kind of know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Crowley was a biblical scholar. He knew a lot about the Bible. He grew up in a very religious household. But anyway, that led me. So then that's like the title of my book. He thought he was a prophet of a new age. And some people objected to my use of that word prophet because they've only heard it in a positive context.
Right.
But the Old Testament doesn't just use it in a positive context, because they talk about the prophets of Baal, right?
Mm.
These demon entities that the Old Testament prophets were always in battle with. So I use that term prophets of evil because he was an evil person, and Aleister Crowley 9/11 and the New World Order, because they all kind of come together. Because Crowley didn't just have, he wasn't just kind of a religious or philosophical feeler. He wanted to have political effects. He never really realized that, but he wanted to create a new age, a new aeon. Much
Hmm.
like Hitler had a 1,000-year Reich, Crowley wanted a 1,000-year aeon of magic and this new change in society where he would have his own gods, Awas and these other. He wanted to overthrow Christianity.
And they are
And
hardcore trying to keep that going for
yeah,
sure.
they are, sure, for
I
sure.
was joking around in the last one. I was like, how long are you gonna keep trying to affect change in the new world? It's been like 100 years, But
It's a
also
constant.
yeah, it is.
And these guys, people think that it's kind are very Hitler, you have to see him as an occultist in the line of Crowley.
Hmm.
Crowley famously said before Hitler was I am, because he recognized how much Hitler was, uh, how close he was to kind of Crowley's outlook. Slave state, the whole thing. This is the slave shall serve. Hitler made the slave serve. He was very much satanic and
Oh yeah.
occulted. But also, we talked about the lady earlier with Bledsoe. Part of that Babylon working was to kind of continue the work of Crowley to create this aeon, the
Hmm.
magical aeon of Lady Babylon. This is like 46, 47. And
Did you know, I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is kind of important what you just said. Did you know Trump was born 3 months after the Babylon workings
yeah,
on a
I've
loop?
heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
People have
odd.
said somebody tried to send me something. Crowley met Trump or something. Crowley was a decrepit old heroin addict living
Yeah.
in Hastings for the last 3 or 4 years of his life. And there's no evidence that he moved. People went and saw him,
Mm,
but there's no evidence of him traveling probably the last 5 years of his life. Uh,
yeah.
so that whole story of like connecting Crowley to Trump
Yeah,
is
I
a
never heard
stretch.
that one. That's crazy. I have heard the one with the Bushes, Barbara, being connected to Crowley. I don't know how much that has weight.
Well,
I could
everything
obviously,
overlaps. I mean, she looks like Crowley. She acts like Crowley.
yeah,
Her son is involved in the
clearly,
president in some kind of weird ceremonial magical ritual
clearly.
involving blood and death and the transforming of the world and the
Hmm.
fusing of two into one, right? It's a magical act. There's two towers that become one tower, right?
Yes.
Um, Under the
So
great spherical Caryatid, but also the other person kind of carrying on Crowley's work was Timothy Leary, who had thought that his life stopped. A lot, there's an
really,
element of Leary that's left out. Yeah, you can read about it in my book,
I
Children of the
will.
Beast. Yeah.
Yeah. So 9/11 you think was something to kind of open things up. Have you seen like the Saturn sigil with the Roman numeral idea where people say it looks like the Saturn sigil in between two pillars? It's the two X,
Possibly.
it's IXXI. So the two X's together kind of make the Saturn sigil,
Hmm.
and there's on the either side.
Well,
If
they
that
have the
what
trident, right? The satanic trident
mm-hmm,
goes up the whole thing. So that's always been a symbol of the underworld. Actually, the ONA uses the trident as well. So that's
yeah,
right there in the center. You have the great spherical caryatid. It's 111 stories, 110 stories, excuse me. So it's like literally a 33 broken up into three distinct parts. And Crowley said the number 11 isn't just a number, it represents an ideogram, which is the union of opposites. That was his whole kind of story of like magical workings, chemical weddings, the beast in Babel, bringing things away, duality into one. So
mm.
it's
You
all
think maybe it
there.
has something to do with bringing both worlds together in a weird way?
I think it was the beginning of a new era. Like, I mean, I
Yeah,
think 9/11 was a
in
big
a
act.
nutshell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was a
yeah. So
passageway. Yeah, it's a
we got
passageway.
9/11 president currently, 45th, 47th. Do you think that was by design, like
I don't know. I
kind
don't
of
know.
completion?
I
I've
don't
seen
think they like
somebody
Trump.
say
I
that.
think they're literally bad. I think that
Really?
yeah, I don't think they're fake. I think they hate his guts
Mm,
and they want him dead. And
yeah.
it's nasty. I mean, they're real. There's so many dead bodies around the Democrats, and they always blame it on Hillary, but it's just that whole party. People end up dead, whether it's Seth Rich or other strange or what's the guy who died in the park? Vince Foster, so.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder. I guess I just wonder how much, like, so you don't think he's involved as much as
I think he has
most?
I think Trump has a dark background. I think it's
Mm.
overlooked, but his coming up with all these models and his friends with
Think he's
who's
kind of like a Kennedy figure. Like, the Kennedys weren't clean by any means, but they did kind of come out as, against some powers that others wouldn't touch.
I see him as kind of a nouveau riche kind of American elite who isn't really one from the old WASP families.
mm,
So I think that he may have always kind of had a chip on his shoulder,
that's a
and
great
to
that's a
want that
great
Trump,
take. Yeah, I think that's probably encompasses it for sure. Yeah, definitely.
I think he's
Um,
actually much more insecure than people think. I think that that need for adulation and accolades is actually a sign of something other. Why do you need that much? Because you don't have a positive self-image or something.
oh, definitely makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, pretty wild stuff. Yeah, I saw something recently. Actually, somebody's trying to tie Sabrina Carpenter to that Babylon workings and say that she's the moon child that came out of that, which is pretty crazy because I mean, we're talking 53 years later, all of a sudden it worked, I guess, because she was born in like 99. I don't know. I just thought that was pretty curious.
These occultists operate. They're not an occultist. You don't understand them, but they want to have their kids have all the stars aligned on certain dates. And one of the giveaways too, like something that comes to mind is John Lennon's wife, whatever, Yoko Ono.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
like delayed. She was a full witch. I think one of her albums says "I am a witch." Like she's literally admitting it. They had like beef tongues in their in their fridge, but she delayed her son's birth to have him born on the right day. Like she wanted this
No
day
shit.
because of whatever the astrological signs were. So I think that's it's a real thing. Like it's a real desire to have your kid born at a certain time and a certain day in the occult.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I think that there's a good chance she is one of Crowley's many children, many 5 or 6 kids. That we know he has 5 kids, but she looks just like him and the timing and everything. And were Crowley's ideas about having children, he was very profligate and
Are any of his kids or
did a
grandkids in the spotlight or out doing anything important?
he
I
had
guess.
one. There was one he said she'll make a good whore. And there was another, his name was Ataturk, and he had kind of a strange life. He was actually kind of, I mean, there's a couple articles about him. You can find stuff about Ataturk Crowley, but his baby mama or whatever you want to call her, the woman who had it. Crowley was in his 60s when he sired her, or Ataturk Crowley. And
Really?
then the one who died, 2 kids. It's kind of interesting because when he was at the magical fraternity in Cefalù, there was 2 kids there, and then there was another baby that was born. And one of them actually moved all the way. One of these kids who like endured Crowley's magical training, which was very graphic, ended up traveling to California of all places. She lived in Oakland and passed away maybe 10 years ago.
Oh, really?
Uh,
Yeah, I was wondering if any of them. Usually they do end up in the spotlight. I'm surprised that his aren't more prevalent.
the ones we
Um,
know of, so who knows? I don't
yeah.
know.
So you just recently did something on the West Memphis 3, you said, right?
No, I West Memphis 3 in 2012. That's called
2012, it's been a
Abomination. Yeah.
minute. Oh yeah. Okay. So
Yeah,
you
yeah. So
you
it's been 13 years. I have a lot of videos on my Patreon about the West Memphis 3 that I made 10 years ago. A lot of it's been censored, so you
got it.
can't see them anymore.
Really?
But you can see my Patreon under my X, under my Twitter handle, William
So
Ramsey NIN.
so I barely checked out that, and what I gathered from it was essentially the satanic panic situation kind of, were they innocent? Kind of got a few innocent men, possibly.
Well, that's another show. I mean,
Right, right,
what they
right.
say in the public is that they were railroaded, they were framed for wearing heavy metal shirts,
Mm-hmm.
and that it was part of the satanic panic. And then when you read the court documents and their testimonies and Jesse Miss Kelly's confessions and their admission to first degree murder in 2011 and the many confessions to other people, they have all confessed, and the evidence and the court trials
Oh
and
wow.
everything, you realize it's a much different story. But the
Okay.
celebrities, the Hollywood celebrities, and the 3 convicted, still convicted, parties seem to claim their innocence publicly, and you got to wonder why. Why are they getting away with it?
Yeah.
They've gotten away with it for quite some time.
Yeah, definitely. That's crazy. Yeah, I know that for the finders, they kind of used the satanic panic in their benefit, where they said,
Of
"Well, as
course.
soon as you threw Satanist on us, now and it just went away." That's
Yeah, the ones who are
wow,
the one who are screaming satanic panic, look into them, because usually there's the Satanists.
right.
Yeah, that's what you got. So like the
Classic
Christian view is like,
deflection.
yeah, absolutely. It's admission by projection.
Exactly. Yeah, we see
And
that a lot.
almost all of them are occultists, because the only people are like, well, is there any evidence there? Is there any truth to that? Like, why are you using this loaded term like conspiracy theorist?
Hmm.
You got to find out what. That's what happened to West Memphis 3. They had 3 self-serving documentaries from HBO out of Hollywood, which barely told the truth, any truth. They
And
were
that,
a
yeah,
joke.
never does.
They're like almost like the level of Spinal Tap. I mean, they're just a total
Hmm.
joke.
I know. I was making fun of that 7/7 bombing documentary. The England one. There was just a few. I've researched it a little bit. There was just a few holes, and I was just like, man, dude, this is it's equal to 9/11. Where you're just like, all right, it's all bullshit. But yeah, man, it's been a great episode. I really appreciate you coming on.
Interesting numerology there too.
Always.
Who was on site at 77 in London in 2005 and
Yeah, the
commented on
sevens
it?
were just outrageous. The amount of people that died was like added
Mm.
up to 7. Go ahead. Sorry.
Benjamin Netanyahu.
Hmm. Yeah,
False
Pulowski or
flag
whatever.
terror, 10-7. Yeah. Melikovsky's his real name. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that we said we were going to go to war from after 9/11 on October 7th, 2001.
I'm not surprised.
And that fucked
Not
me up
surprised at
whenever I
all.
saw that. I saw that recently. I was very surprised. Well, not surprised, but very, there it is,
There it is. I'm telling you, man, some of these Jews are members of B'nai B'rith. They're not,
Hmm.
they're Jews in kind of name only. They're not Tanakh like 618 rule Jews. They may just promote it, but they're not real believers. Not in the
No,
Old
not in the
Testament.
Abrahamic. Yeah, the
No,
classic
no,
sense.
no,
Yeah,
they're not. They're
I
not.
agree. Yeah, yeah. No, I appreciate you coming on. It's been great. We got some good stuff out. Can you go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you? Make sure
Yeah, you
they
can
can all check you out.
my podcast is in the top 0.5% of the world, maybe the top 15, 20,000 podcasts under William Ramsey Investigates. You can see a lot of my West Memphis 3 research. You can buy a book called Abomination, or a lot of the videos I've done on it on Patreon. I have a pretty active Patreon. I post there all the time. And then all 5 of my documentaries that I've done, Occult Hollywood, on the Smiley Face Killers, on 9/11, on Children of the Beast, are on my Patreon. So all you have to do is pay $5 and you can
Nice.
just tons of content there, man. It's
It's a little
locked and
bargain
check
for
out.
the
Pretty
amount of
cheap.
research you get. You get deep in there for sure. I highly
Yeah,
recommend it. I hope everybody checks you out for sure because I love your stuff. So,
great.
but yeah,
Appreciate it.
thanks for coming on, man. I'm honored that you came and checked this out. And yeah, hopefully, I don't know if you plan on posting this on yours. If you want, we'll get you. I could
How
email
soon?
it to you, or huh?
How soon can you get me the audio?
I could get it to you by tonight or in the morning.
Okay, send it
Yeah,
over. Yeah, I'll
Justin's a
repost it.
wizard. He'll get it done tonight, and yeah,
Send it to me with your links, whatever links you want posted. I'll repost
yes,
it.
sir. I really appreciate you coming on. It's a pleasure meeting
Okay,
you. Hopefully, I
nice
can
to
get you
meet
back
you.
on sometime. Thank
Yeah,
you.
we'll do the West Memphis 3. It's pretty
Please, yeah,
interesting.
definitely.
Lot of Satanism though. You might not like it.
No, no worries. I'm trying to get Austin Picard on. We're gonna get into the Detroit case and North Fox Island Franklin scandal. You brought that up.
Yeah, yeah,
Hopefully, I could get him on for a follow up with that. So that would be pretty cool. But yeah, I
yeah.
appreciate you. I
Good
look
stuff.
forward to the next time. I'll be in
Yeah,
touch.
sounds good. All right, Andrew. Thanks.
Take
Thanks
care.
for the invite. Take care. You too.
I hope y'all enjoyed. We had a little special guest, a little deep diver. He's a great researcher. I do highly recommend you go check his stuff out for sure. Yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed everything. Hit him with them chords, Justin.